Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm going to be reviewing this album here. It is Elvis Costello and the Attractions with the album Armed Forces. So in this video I will do my usual thing. I will give a bit of background information about the album, show you the vinyl copy of it here, and then look at each of the album's tracks in detail. So this was his third studio album, released on the 5th of January in 1979, and it was the first album what he made to credit his backing band, The Attractions, although I think they had featured on the album before this called This Year's Model. So yeah, this came after the success of that album, This Year's Model, and a tour to support that album, and they returned to the studio to produce a slightly different sounding album, a more produced and a more textured sound, contrasting with the more sort of stripped back rock and roll nature of his last two releases. The album was produced by a guy called Nick Lowe, who was a songwriter throughout the 1970s and that, and he gave this album very much a more advanced sound. I know that he had produced Costello's last two releases, but for this one we wanted to try something new, move away from the more aggressive sounding song to a more pop friendly sound. The working title for this album was Emotional Fascism, which sort of conveyed the lyrical ideas expressed on many of the album's songs, sort of a lot of metaphors and that throughout it, for emotional love songs and that, but then also comparing that to more sort of anger and more political messages and lyrics throughout the songs. The album done pretty well, reaching number 2 in the United Kingdom and number 10 in the US. It would eventually be certified platinum in the UK and Canada and went gold in the US. This album is often regarded as one of Elvis Costello's best releases, although it was met with mild critical enthusiasm at the time. Some people were a little bit miffed at him moving away from his established sound, but certainly the popularity of this it has endured. This was placed at number 45 on Q Magazine's 100 British Albums and at 475 on Rolling Stone's 500 greatest albums of all time. So pretty low on that list, but it still made the list, so it was pretty good. Anyway, I will now show you my vinyl copy of it here. Now, there are quite a lot of different versions what you can get off this album here. This is a British copy, but not an original one, because the original one, this bit at the back, these would all fold out, and you get postcards and various different inserts and stuff. Unfortunately, this is just a more basic, just sort of non-gatefold copy, and then you can also get a different American copy where it has a completely different cover, just sort of a graffiti cover with just Armed Forces sort of written on it. But I do really love this very, very stunning album cover. That really nice. And then the back looks like that, and then the inner sleeve is like this here, so we get the song titles there and then picture on the other side, and the label to this is really nice here. That's what it's on one side there, and then on the other it looks like that there. So it would have been nice if this had came with a lyric sheet, lyric insert. Maybe original copies did, but this version just doesn't have it. I'm not too sure, but that would have been nice because a lot of the lyrics on this are quite fast-paced songs and that, so it is quite hard to really catch what he's saying on first listen. So that would probably be the one thing what I say could improve the actual packaging to this album. But anyway, I'm now going to go over all of the album's songs. I will score each song out of 10, and then I will use those scores to give us a overall percentage score for the album. So the opening song is called Accidents Will Happen, which I'm giving a 10 out of 10 to. A very strong opening song, and one of the first Elvis Costello songs that I actually heard, because how I could got into him was sort of through I think it was Rock Boy 680's video on his my best albums of 1979, and this one came I think sort of about number 10 or there or thereabouts. So like I decided to give it like a listen like on Spotify, and like this being like the first song, I was just blown away by it. It was sublime production like on this one. It just flows, very catchy, like lots of hooks and that, and like counter hooks. It just really works like as a song, and like great lyrics as well. More so like self-conscious and like inward looking than like his previous material, but still got like the killer melody there, and like a very dense production really brings out like the melody like throughout the song. This was the second single from the album and reached only number 28 on the British charts. Should have done much better, I feel. It is one of the best songs from the album, and one of the best songs of his whole career, I'd say. Then we get the track Senior Service, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. This is probably the most catchiest one on the album. Got a lot of hooks on it, a lot of different like it's just like one like the songs that just does get stuck in your head. It's a real earworm, this song here. And like the lyrics of this one, like they're not too like obvious really, but like I was doing like a bit like research and that, and like I think that this is maybe about like there was like a cigarette brand in like the UK, sort of like in like the 70s, called Senior Service. So lines like "it's death that's worse than fate" like could be relating to like maybe like the dangers and sort of like that of like smoking. Maybe like it is like a long shot, but then also like the Royal Navy as well is like sometimes referred to as the Senior Service. So like it can be like the two things. So like I'm not too sure what the lyrics are about, but it is a very well produced song, very well played song. The Attractions keyboardist, who like I forget his name, is it? I think it's Bruce something or other. I'm not too sure. It doesn't say. It says like the name's there, but I don't say like what they actually do on here. So like I do forget. But he really adds like a strong texture to this song, and like throughout the whole album as well. So this would be a 9 out of 10 for me. And then we get the album single, and like definitely like the most popular song from it, Oliver's Army, which I'm giving a 10 out of 10 to. A great song, fantastic single as well. Costello says that the lyrics on this one come from like a visit what he made to like Northern Ireland, and which was during like the height of like the Troubles there, where like he saw like a lot of like young boys, like sort of like 17-year-olds and that, like working class boys that sort of carrying like these like weapons and that, sort of like it became like a protest song, like it's sort of against like governments sort of like using like young people in like conflict and that. And so yeah, like I love the way the song does tackle this serious issue in like the format of like a very catchy pop song. Also, like I've heard as well, like like before recording this album, Elvis Costello was listening to like a lot of like ABBA records, like actually, and like sort of like the piano bit like in this one, like he said, was like inspired by like the bit in like Dancing Queen and that. So yeah, it is like a very poppy song, very catchy song again, but it does have like a great strong lyric and like a really like uplifting like key change in like the middle of the track. Yeah, like, and as I said, like the single from the album, and this was like his most popular single as well, reaching number 2 in the UK charts, and like it stayed there for 3 weeks. So yeah, fantastic song. Fourth track in now is called Big Boys, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. This is a really strong song actually. I mean, like it isn't like one like the better ones like on the album, but I think it's good, and like it does start off quite quiet, but then like the drums start coming in, and like it's like a really strong, decent track. The lyrics on this one though are quite interesting, sort of like about like aspiring to be sort of like fitter and like sort of like slightly better, like in like more sort of like physical like shape and that. Like it says like the chorus line is like, I try so hard to be like the big boys and that. So yeah, for me it isn't one of the best on the album, but it is a strong song, I feel. And then we get another favourite of mine, a song called Green Shirt, a 9 out of 10. This one starts off quite quiet, with like a sort of like a pulsating guitar or like bass bit, like I'm not too sure, but like that really propels and like powers the song. Also like enhanced with like little like colourings from like the organ, and that like adds like this little bit of texture. Quite a tense song as well, but the music, it is quite loud and quite like a dense track. So yeah, like a real nice change of pace for the album, which I think really works, and like it is like a very catchy song as well. That chorus line has just got like a killer melody like on it, I feel. And then side one closes with one of like the slightly weaker ones on the album, a track called Party Girl, which I think it is okay. It does start off quite quiet, quite slow, a little bit similar to Green Shirt, but then it does slowly build up like for the chorus, which is nice. And like it does have like a nice structure, nice sort of like distinct sections throughout the song, but slightly weaker like melodically. Like it is like one of the ones that like I'm just like talking about from like my notes. I can't really like remember it too much, like too much from like the top of like my head. Also, while preparing for this review, like I read that like some people sort of like compare like the fade out of this song to like the Abbey Road medley. Like I think like he said like he nicked like the guitar piece or something from like the end of like Carry That Way. But like it does sound like a little bit similar, but like I wouldn't say that like he stole it like by any means. So yeah, like it works well enough, but it isn't a favourite track of mine personally. Side 2 opens up with a track called Goon Squad, which I'm giving a 7 out of 10 to. A very sort of powerful musical track, this one. A very much like a wall of sound. It opens the side 2 of this record here. And very sort of like dramatic song. Sounds almost like a Bond theme really, or like sort of like the music what you'd have like in like an action movie. So like yeah, like a little bit overproduced though for me personally. Like it is very much like there's a lot going on like in this song, and like it's like a little bit, I don't want to say messy, sounds a little bit harsh, but certainly like overworked, possibly like I could describe this song as that. So yeah, like not a favourite of mine personally, like a little bit weaker lyrically, but still like a good song though. Another song here is called Busy Bodies, and I'm giving this also a 7 out of 10. A little bit average one, this one again. I do like the chorus though, where it goes like quite quiet most of the time. Like in like most songs, of course, like the chorus, like it is like the loud bit like off like the song. Whereas with this one, like it goes like all like quiet for the song. So like I think it is nice and like quirky like that. But it is one of like the lesser ones like on the album, lesser like both like melodically and lyrically. But I think it is still decent though. Next one up is called Sunday's Best, and yet again another 7 out of 10. Like there are a lot of 7s throughout like the middle part of this album for me, often considered the weakest one on the album, but I wouldn't go that far. Like I'd say that I do like the song, kind of like sort of like it's got like this weird sort of like piano thing like on it, like with like an effect, like I forget like what it's called, but it sounds like almost like a carnival thing. Like I wouldn't like normally like that, but this one does remind me like a little bit of like the Kinks or like 60s pop sort of thing. And like actually this one, interestingly enough, was left off the American album because like the record company there thought it was too British, and like yeah, like it does sound like a quintessentially English or style song, and like I think like it is like a good track, but again for me not a personal highlight. Next we've got here is called Moods for Moderns, which I'm giving a 8 out of 10 to. This one is like a nice, fun, little bouncy song. Really works well. Like it's like sort of like not quite reggae, I mean, but it does have like this nice groove on it. Really works well, and like a really nice sort of catchy chorus line. Although the rest of like the song is like a little bit not like as memorable like as like the chorus, which doesn't really stick in like your head. And yeah, like I would say like the actual like the whole song is like a tad repetitive, although like I do think like it is like a great song. Some people say that the lyrics on this one and like some people like interpret them to be about like his failed like first relationship. Like I'm not too sure, like I just think like it is like a good little track. You gotta Right, so now the next one is like one I would say is like a really underrated track on the album for me. It is a track called Chemistry Class, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. Now, like, yeah, like a lot of people like don't really like talk too much like about the song, but I really like it. Like, I think it's got like a nice sort of quirky production on it, really good like arrangement, like as well, like nice sound to this track, and like clever lyrics as well. And like Costello has said like about the lyrics that like he wrote them like based on like an experience like when he was touring like America, like the universities and that, where he saw like a lot of like self-indulgence in like the university sort of like way of life, sort of, where he saw like an elitist sort of thing like happening there, and like sort of like comparing like that to like more like wider like political issues. Like I really think that it works actually. Like it is like a good, decent track, I feel, and like one of my personal favourites. And then we close with another popular one from the album, although it wasn't released like as a single. It is a track called Two Little Hitlers, which I'm giving a 9 out of 10 to. I think this is like a great little tune despite like the controversial title. Again, this is sort of like using like war and politics as like as like a metaphor for like a failed like relationship, which like he does use on like some of like the other songs, but this certainly, it does like that sort of theme does come to like a peak like on this song, and like it's where like the title Emotional Fascism, or like the working title, really begins to make sense like with the album. So yeah, like it is like a nice sort of closer to the album, and with like slightly bitter slash like dark humour sort of like lyrics on this one. Like it isn't like a song to really be taken too seriously, but like then again, like I feel that it is sung firmly with like his tongue like in his cheek. However, that's not it for the album, because the US version closed with a cover of the song What's So Funny About Peace, Love and Understanding, which unfortunately isn't on my British copy of the album, although it is like commonly put on like CD reissues and that. Like this is like a song that like I think most people would put on the album, because it is one of the best songs like from the sessions. Although like it is a cover like originally actually done by the album's producer like Nick Lowe. I think it is just like a great sort of powerful song, like a really nice sentiment to close like the US version of the album, and like it is like a great rocking song. Like the Attractions really put in like a great performance like throughout this song here. So yeah, like a nice way to end the album like originally like in the US version. So overall, this album would score 83% for me. So yeah, I really love this. I think it's got really nice melodies on it, great hooks throughout. Although I would say like it is like a little bit front loaded, especially considering like the two singles are like tracks like 1 and 3 on the album. It then goes like a little bit sort of like average in like the middle, but I wouldn't say that there are any bad or weak songs in it. Just a couple of like average ones, but then like it does pick up like towards the end. I think there are like a couple of like good songs like towards the end off side 2. And like a lot of people like to talk about Elvis Costello's lyrics and that. Like I think like they're very clever sort of like mixing like sort of like universal comments and that on like politics and the like, with like conflicts within like oneself, like sort of like self emotions and that. So like it is like quite clever how like he sort of like combines the two, and they uses like each one like as like metaphors for like the other one. I think it is like quite clever like that. But overall, just a really great sort of like melodic sort of pop punk like new wave album, and like definitely like his most accessible one. Like I'd say that if like you like sort of pop music, sort of like nice production, nice melodies, this would be the album to go for. Like it was like the first one that I bought from him, and it must have worked, because I've now got like 3 of like his other studio albums in that collection. So yeah, really great album. So yeah, I hope you have enjoyed this review, and like if I have like any requests for like other ones, please do leave them down below, and I will see you all next time for the next review. Goodbye.